Welcome everyone to the Mizuno USA Racket Sports Athlete Showcase. I'm Dave Dorsey, Racket Sports Sales Manager here at Mizuno, and I'm joined by Mizuno's first ever pickleball sponsored athlete, Lea Jansen. Lea, thank you for spending some time with us.
Thanks for having me, Dave. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Well, as we have gotten to know Layla over the last couple of months, super successful on the PPA and MLP tours. It's high ranked right now, number 2 women's singles player, number 6 in women's doubles, number 10 in mixed. Tell us a little bit about how you got into pickleball.
So I was an accountant. I had previously played tennis all growing up. Tennis was never my favorite thing to do though, so I just it was kind of an ends to a mean. I ended up playing at Washington State collegiately, and then I became an accountant because I was always very into school. And I didn't really realize that accounting was not for me before choosing that major. And I became a tax accountant right after college. Kind of like 6 months into it, I was kind of questioning is this for me? Is this what I want to do with the rest of my life? So I began looking for a hobby, and pickleball was blowing up all over social media. Not as much as it is now, but back then it was a lot. And so I decided, it seems like a tennis convert thing, and I tried it and I fell in love. It was something for me to look forward to. It was something for me to really kind of care about again, and create a goal. So I started playing a lot. The pro tour was evolving, and I decided to quit my job as an accountant and go full-time into pickleball and become a pro. And it was good because it kind of let me live out my athletic dream since I was never really into tennis, this was something I could really create a goal and finish out through and through.
So let's talk about that. You're an accountant, you're thinking I need to do something to kind of get that competitive itch and give me something I can be passionate about. For people that are just thinking about playing pickleball for the first time, for you, how did you suddenly go from, I've heard about pickleball, well now I'm on the PPA Tour? That seems like a pretty big jump, but it happened for you pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think part of it was my practice partner. It was Andrea Coop. We practiced. I got great practice from the beginning because she thought I was going to be good because of my racket sports background. And she was a top player at the time, and she was playing the tournaments, and I was wanting to be wow, if she's going, I want to go. And so it just kind of seemed like a seamless transition. It was I pretty much jumped into it right away just from the people I was lucky enough to be around.
And how do you feel tennis may or may not have helped you prepare for the pickleball tour, the matches? I mean, how similar are the two sports when it really comes down to it?
There's definitely similarities, especially in singles, which is where I've kind of thrived. The ground strokes, the movement, the footwork has really helped. But it was also just kind of what was instilled to you when you were young. You work hard at something, you drill a lot. A lot of people just coming into pickleball without a tennis background hate the drilling aspect. We're used to it, and just kind of being super disciplined. So that really helped me, just those values helped me later in life.
So we mentioned a little earlier, you're our first Mizuno Racket Sports sponsored athlete. What was attractive to you about the Mizuno brand? What made you think that's who I want to partner with?
Well, first it was the shoes. I remember I got a sample of the shoes, and I wore them right away because I thought they were really cool looking and they were really comfortable. And I used to have these pair of orange shoes, and I could never find orange shoes again. And then that's what got sent to me, was this pinkish orange. And then getting to know you guys, it was just a small family feel. I didn't really feel like I was just talking to some higher up. A lot of the times they were always really available, super nice, super understanding. So it just kind of seemed like a natural transition.
So this is the shoe that you are currently wearing,
yes.
The Mizuno Wave Exceed Tour 5. Tell me, first of all, when you think about what you need in footwear for the pickleball tour at your level, what are some of the aspects that you look for in a piece of footwear for pickleball?
For me, it's durability. So these, I tend to get over a month, which for me is pretty unheard of. It's also light, the lightness, because I'm moving so much in singles. I want to be able to feel like I can move and not get stuck in cement. And then also it's the durability of the shoe, where I feel like the ankle stability, I feel like I'm pretty safe in it, as weird as that sounds. Because I've sprained my ankle a few times, so I always like my ankles being safe.
So one of the things that we talk about in this particular shoe, the Wave Exceed Tour 5, is that balance between durability, stability, comfort, and speed. And when I think of pickleball, those are, four pretty important factors, right? I've got to be able to go as fast as I can, but as you said, I got to feel safe when I push off and go another direction. Singles, but even in doubles at this high level, you see some pretty explosive movements. Talk about that shoe and how it meets all of those aspects for you when you're playing at the highest level in the PPA.
So for me, like, the speed is especially essential because I have to be able to have a quick first step, even in doubles, everything you have to be able to. So that definitely meets it. And how they're able to last for so long, like we play 12 hours a day, all day, and then I'm playing on Championship Sunday. So I've had other shoe brands where I'm actually rotating shoes throughout the weekend. And so I feel like in that aspect, and then as I said before, like I can slide, I don't slide often, but I can, stop on a dime and not feel like I'm about to just like snap my ankle, which is the biggest thing overall for me.
Right. Well, and you and I spent a little time earlier today talking about some feedback on the upcoming shoes. There's a lot of people that are sneakerheads or whatever you want to call them. Do you kind of get excited about the aspect or the possibility of working with a brand like Mizuno on helping design future shoes? Is that something that very much interests you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been a huge shoe fan for a long time. Like, I'll be the first to admit I'm all about the color at first. And obviously that meets it. Like, we have a bunch of different colors that aren't just like black, white, because I'll never wear just black or white all the time. And then it's super nice to be able to have input because we're going to be the ones wearing it all the time, and then just kind of putting your own taste on something where you can be like, this is me, this is something I can get behind.
Good. Well, on the court this year so far, we're here in May at the offices here in Atlanta, and you've had a tremendous year so far. We mentioned the rankings that you've had. The rest of the season, we're getting into the hotter months, really the high point of the season for both PPA and MLP, and we'll talk about MLP in a second. What are some of the goals that you have that you hope when you're sitting here on New Year's Eve at the end of this year, you think, I hope I've accomplished that and that?
So I've had a great year, but I've had a few heartbreaking finals losses. So I want to get the gold medal. That's definitely number one on my list. Number two on my list is I would really like to beat Anna Leigh Waters. I've made a huge training change since the last time I lost to her that I'm really adding in now to help that. And I want to get a mixed medal. I definitely have improved my mixed game a lot, so I want to find someone where I can really go deep consistently with them.
And just for clarification, Anna Leigh Waters is the current number one ranked singles player. So for you, that's reaching the top. I want to reach the top.
Yes, I want to
knock off number one.
Yes, and I want my singles gold medal to be against her, not against somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely,
for sure.
So we've talked a little bit about MLP, Major League Pickleball, versus PPA, the Professional Pickleball Association. Different type of aspects in that game. Maybe explain a little bit about the differences and what you like about each one.
Okay, so PPA is just traditional tennis. Pretty much, you get to pick your partners, and it's just a 2 out of 3 format, regular scoring where you go all day. MLP is rally scoring. You get selected and drafted to a team. There's no singles in it, and essentially, like, yes, you draft, but your picks are not. They're chosen for you. So for the PPA, it's just something we're totally used to. It's more of a tennis format. I really like it. I like the fact that we can play singles there. I like the fact that I can pick my partners. But MLP is like, you're on a team. So which is for a lot of us, this is like the first time in a long time we've been on a team. And it's something that, like, I was on a college tennis team, but as I said, it wasn't as exciting as MLP because I love pickleball. So it's a really fun format. It's a lot more high intense, high paced, just because of the rally scoring, but it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. So it's a great change up and a great mix up from the PPA Tour. And I'm happy like both are definitely around.
Right. The team aspect of MLP, the energy, when I see them on TV, and we'll see obviously the PPA being in Atlanta this week, and then the MLP is coming to Atlanta in September. The energy is a little bit different vibe, right? I mean, the players, it's very much in tennis, like world team tennis that many of y'all may be familiar with, but talk a little bit about that vibe. I mean, you and Anna Leigh currently are on the same team, and so that's an interesting dynamic there when we want to beat each other in this league, but on this one we want to work together. No, and it's created a lot of camaraderie. I never had a bad relationship with Anna Leigh, but now she's one of my good friends because of it, and her and her mom are one of my good friends, as well as James Ignatowicz and Hayden. So you get to know people that you would never really get to know them on the PPA Tour.
But for me, it's even more intense than World Team Tennis because it's we're competing for a lot higher money, and all the top players are at this one. So it's more of, I guess like a Laver Cup or something like that. Okay. But the energy is really crazy. You have people who don't ever become energetic or like losing their minds out there. So it's like kind of a crazy experience. By the end of the weekend, you're just like, man, what happened? So it's by far one of my favorite events, and it's always good because we're going to play like 7 PPAs in a row. So by the time MLP comes around, everyone's like,
you'll be ready.
Everyone's ready for MLP.
Good. Well, as we wrap up here with Lea Jansen, pickleball's changed a lot in the last couple of years. It's a still relatively new sport, but when you see week to week, there's so many changes coming. We have testing on paddles now. We have all the different type of things. More players coming from tennis, like Jack Sock last weekend. Tell me what you think as you think about the next 12, 18, 24 months. What are some of the changes you feel like would be coming for pickleball, or maybe would be needed in pickleball?
I think more rules and regulations are going to start coming in. I think we're going to start getting drug testing. I think we're going to start establishing wind ordinances, like what is the heat ordinance, what's the cold ordinance, a lot more structure, as I say, like any growing tour. But also I think there's going to be a lot of like great players coming in from the tennis tour. I think we're going to get a huge change up with top players. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more diversity. I don't want to say that Annalie's going to start losing, but I think her triple crowning will become a lot more difficult within the next 24 months. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of new shots come in. I think a lot of these people coming in are going to look at pickleball a little bit differently than the traditional people have, and they're going to change the way that the game is played. It's going to get even more fast-paced. And I'm excited to see, like, Mizuno is the first big-time shoe sponsor to come in. I'm excited to see what, like Mizuno came in. I'm excited to see what other companies come in and kind of support this. And yeah, I'm excited to see stadium changes as well. Like, we're outgrowing our infrastructure. So I think we're going to start seeing pickleball stadiums almost, like, to support it.
Yep. As we wrap up, when people think about why should I go try pickleball? You basically told us a story. You basically were looking around, need something, and you just got attracted to this game. What is it about the game of pickleball that people should go and try out? Why should they try pickleball?
Well, one, it's just super fun to do. Super fun. It's a healthy thing to do. People get super addicted to it. And what I always say is everybody's kind of looking for a community. So I've met some of the most important people in my life through pickleball. And it's given me a community, and I've sat down in rooms with people that I had no business sitting with just because of pickleball. So it creates a lot of camaraderie. It creates that no other sport does, and it's just super fun to play. Like, it's hard to play pickleball and people would be like, nah, like it's just fun and it's healthy. So totally recommend it.
Well, Lea, I really appreciate you taking the time with us today. Welcome to Atlanta. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Those of you that are in the Atlanta area, feel free to stop by Lifetime Fitness over here in Peachtree Corners for the Atlanta Open. Lea Jansen, top singles player, soon to be top doubles and mixed player, headed to the top. We appreciate you taking the time, Lea. Thank you as well.
Thanks, Dave.